thank you so much for being here with us. And to start off, we are going to hear from each panelist. I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves and tell everybody a little bit about your background before we get into the questions. But for people who are listening, please do stick any questions into the Slido. So, Sarah, we'll start with yourself.
Yeah, sure. Oh, microphone. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a DevOps engineer with version 1. And I do a lot of platform work and I do a lot of back-end scripting. So very much like touching tech directly. And in terms of like innovations in the space and my experience with AI so far, it's all been very much performance focused. So like AI will help us work quicker, like you'll see our output from developers, engineers. So for myself, it's been like co-pilots, like literally AI helping you write code like as you go, or troubleshooting. So like, I don't know how to script this thing, or what does this code mean that I'm after inheriting from someone, like help me. So like going to AI and kind of getting like quick summaries to just give you that push to get going. And in terms of study as well, like upskilling generally. Like a lot of the time, if you're doing courses online, you're taking in a lot of information very quickly. And it's always good to like check back and check your learning. So I found AI is really good to just fire questions at, just double check. Within the wider industry, there's some talk of like AI ops. So like as a DevOps engineer, there is a certain amount of like monitoring and like fixing whatever issues are arising. So there is like plans, I suppose, to have AI be monitoring systems and catching errors before like the error truly arises, or pointing engineers to like root causes of like said errors like not very quickly. And so yeah, those are kind of the biggest like changes, I suppose, or innovations that I'm seeing.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Louise, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Louise. I am co-founder of Needy, which is an intelligent gift matching corporate gifting service. So we use AI and psychology to match that perfect gift to your recipient. Maria's talk absolutely spoke to me. I was a bit nervous before I came up here as well. And there were some amazing points that she made in that talk. I too am a non-tech founder, which means I'm kind of sitting up here with these very clever people in the room kind of thinking, oh, right, don't ask me too hard questions. But also at the same time, what I've learned is that AI, when used perfectly with humans, is like the best combination ever. You get all the efficiencies of, like in our industry, we use recommendation engines and AI to, like I say, match that perfect gift to your recipient instantly. But then we also have the humans who are there as well to talk to about the really difficult gift matches and the really intricate things as well. So I suppose AI in the retail sector, I mean, it's just massive. Like if you think about how you used to shop 10 years ago to how you shop now, it's so different. You can try on makeup, you can try on clothes virtually, which is really cool. You don't have to go into the shops and do that. There's, like I say, loads of where we're so overwhelmed with choice, I think, as well, with all the products that we can access, having things like recommendations and AI to help you narrow down that to try and make that perfect choice, I think is a really revolutionary thing too. So I think in the retail sector, AI is already working, and there's some really cool things that are happening in the customer service and recommendation engines in future.
Thank you, Louise. And let's just, whenever we talked before this, I was really excited to hear about what you work in. And not everyone here is like in dev, not everyone's software development. Do you know what I mean? We have people from all different areas of tech here. So if I'm asking you questions, you're not talking tech, that's cool. I'm looking forward to see what gifts I'm going to get. Keith, what about you? You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Keith Lippert. I've been on the board of Women in Business for 6 years now, and I'm sure you can imagine the look on my Dairy Girl wife's face 6 years ago when I told her I had applied to be a board member of Women in Business. It was that look of, oh, Keith, you just don't understand how things work here. So a real privilege to be a part of this organization. I spent most of my career in financial crime prevention. I ran anti-terrorism at Barclays Bank in London, global fraud prevention at American Express, and most recently second in command of cybersecurity at Allstate. We use machine learning and AI for good, to protect people from fraud, your shopping patterns, your driving patterns, and the use of telematics that came up earlier. So when you're driving your car, you're probably not banking. And I have a patent on a piece of technology that would help prevent crime, to keep you from being a victim of crime when you're driving. That's a logon that's probably suspicious. So I think there's a lot of good in it.
Thank you very much. It is interesting. You don't think about all those things. Anytime I wear makeup, I get locked out of my Ulster Bank because it's a fraudulent attempt and it's a different person. So thanks for that, Kate. Louis, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Lu Bai. I'm a senior lecturer from Queen's University Belfast. I'm in the AI research team within the School of EECS. So my work is about the research and teaching in the area of artificial intelligence. So because I'm from an engineering background, so my research is more about exploring the smart sensing systems, for example, the IoT and mobile sensors, and also use the data analytics techniques, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, and with a special focus in the applications. For example, the digital health and also digital earth. So in terms of the digital health, and I have worked in a number of the projects, for example, using mobile sensors and such as mobile phone together with the smartwatch to detect epileptic seizures, and also work on some other projects to create a smart home by using the Raspberry Pi based sensors. And my recent research interest in the area of using artificial intelligence, and especially with the AI-enhanced imaging techniques, and to explore the possibility to detect the climate change and also the environment monitoring, also with a combination with remote sensing technology. So in terms of the teaching, because in Queen's University Belfast, in our school, last year we launched a new MSc AI program. So I'm teaching one of the modules, which is called Foundations of AI. I'm quite enjoying the teaching, and I think the students is learning a lot. And this year we aim to recruit more MSc students and to do the artificial intelligence. So that's me.
Thank you. This is like a recruitment drive for you then? You're looking for students. Anybody hit Louis up if you're fancying that. So we are going to take questions from the audience, both through Slido or just by sticking your hand up. So if you do have a question for the group, put your hand up and we will get someone to run to you. But I guess first of all, what I want to talk about, this panel is all about innovation and about changing the boundaries of things with AI. Does anyone have kind of an idea of the biggest innovations that they've seen developed through AI in your sector, or particularly interesting innovation that's coming? Keith, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll take that. I think it was a threshold for me recently. If you're an insurance company and you're insuring, let's say, small businesses, one of the primary things you want to understand is how small is their business? What's the concept of what they do? And I saw recently an insurance company that had developed an AI. So let's say it's a Keith's house painting company. This AI went out to ChatGPT and asked about the last 5 projects Keith's house painting company did. So it was AI to AI, no human intervention in this sort of what I'll call a conversation between two AIs. And from that, the insurance company gets context into what this business does, how big they are, how complex they are for underwriting purposes. And if it doesn't like the responses, then it might come back and say, okay, tell me about any Better Business Bureau complaints against Keith's house painting. And it was the first time I'd really seen a practical business application of an AI to AI conversation where no human intervention between the two was part of a business solution. And I felt comfort in that it probably removes some of the bias of people who might have to do that job in the past. It used to be done by a person. And in this AI to AI discussion, I'm more confident that I think I could train the bias out of it. than a human who might have done that in the past. But I think that was sort of a threshold for me of a real use case of AI to AI, no people involved.
Yeah, and what about, Lou, obviously from the academic point of view, are there any kind of really big innovations that you see coming or that have been developed that you're particularly excited about?
Yes, yeah. Just a few days ago, there was the first university in the world, which is Arizona State University in the US, has partnered with the OpenAI, which is a ChatGPT company, and they have some new innovations and in terms of using generative AI in both education and research. Yeah, I believe there will be more universities who partner with, for example, the companies they develop large language model. So there will be more adaptive learning system and intelligent tutoring system for the students and to further enhance the higher education.
Thank you. We've got a question here. Is it a bad innovation that I am writing all my email with ChatGPT now? I have to admit I have been writing my Facebook statuses with it, so I don't think it's that bad. My mom's texting me being like, "Your writing has really improved." So we've got quite a few questions here. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, got a few for Louise here. Louise, first one, Louise. It's a great time to be starting up a business and taking advantage of all the opportunity that AI brings. But how can small family businesses find support? And I'll just add this other question all to it. Louise, how do you see AI changing sustainability in, is that you, Maria, in corporate gift giving? So how can AI, anything to help small family businesses, but also how can AI change sustainability in corporate gift giving?
Cool. Well, in a really positive way. So I think when it comes to current corporate gift giving, we might all have received like one of those crappy plastic pens or like the really unsustainable stuff that you kind of get, all the swag and that kind of stuff. And I think that using AI, first of all, yes, I think maybe Maria was involved in this question as well here perhaps, but using technology to kind of see where your stuff comes from, you know, how far away is it? I saw, you know, you're actually able to calculate when something is made, you know, is it from just down the road or is it much further afield? How can you calculate your carbon footprint with what you're buying? And using AI to support that in a reporting way is absolutely huge. For us, we're using it in such a way when a company comes to us and says, we want some of this branded merchandise or we want some of these sort of gifts for people, but the things that are most important to us are sustainability, supporting small independent businesses and other things. That's where it's coming up with some really cool suggestions and really out of the box kind of gift ideas that perhaps you wouldn't use before. Instead of just having the pens and things like that, we're actually having gifts that people use, that people want, that people need. And that's a really cool thing. And going back to the family businesses, I mean, that is something I probably could not be more passionate about. I think supporting those local family and independent businesses should be a huge priority for all of us. And I know specifically at Needy, we work with now over 300 local independent businesses. A lot of them are family run. Some of them are one-woman bands. And what we're doing is they might not have the budget to have like a website that everybody can search for and see what's going on straight away. So we're actually helping connect them with big corporates that can then, you know, utilize their goods and services.
Thank you. And thanks for all the questions, folks. They're really good questions here. They're way better than mine, so keep them coming. We have a few questions, Sarah, for yourself. Do you think roles like AI ops will become new roles in the workplace, or will other roles like DevOps be repurposed to incorporate the AI work?
Sure. I feel like AI ops is more like a support for humans at the moment, at the very least. In terms of replacement role, like of the roles, it's really hard to conceptualize that, I suppose, because I think about like customer systems and how intricate they can be and how much like a human needs to look at it, because a lot of them are not very logical. A lot of them were built by like humans under pressure and like you need to do this and that, and it's like maybe not ideal. I I feel like AI ops could like assist in pointing out like improvements for things quickly. I think AI ops could like get humans moving a bit more quickly. But in terms of like understanding a system and being able to communicate like with your customer and ensuring like everyone is on the same page, I feel like humans are still gonna be needed. In terms of workloads, I suppose like AI ops will take some amount, like AI in general will take some amount of our workload. I think in general, for DevOps engineers, say, or someone coding, yeah, like I think some of our workload will be taken and we can hopefully like spend that time to innovate, which is a very fluffy word, honestly, in this example. But yeah, no, I think it will give us more time with customers and more breathing space to possibly do like best practice work, because that pressure will be taken off by AI.
Thank you. Don't say innovate's a fluffy word. That's the whole point of our conference.
No. In my answer.
Just on that, Sarah. Just similarly, someone has says, do you see AI experience becoming an absolute requirement for future DevOps engineer candidates?
To be honest, so far it has been so accessible that it doesn't feel like it's an experience that you need to have so much as like, oh, like why aren't you making your work life easier and just like using it? I suppose it would probably be an expectation that you'd have some familiarity, but I would, if you're like literally like down in the trenches, kind of trying to tune in AI and getting like AI to like work for a customer, I think that might be its own niche area. Like I think you should have like ground level experience with AI in terms of how it's going to assist you with you doing your work. But I can see that branching off into its own kind of specialized area, like just like we have specific technologies, like, oh, you've experience with SQL, you've experience with Databricks, fine, like that person's perfect for that project. I think it'll just be like another tool, but not necessarily like deep knowledge. I don't think will not necessarily be a blocker for future jobs.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we have loads of questions coming through for Lou. So Lou, do you focus only on the technical aspects of teaching AI at that university level, or do you also touch on the ethical issues or the philosophy of all of it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think in terms of the ethical issues, we do aware there's lots of them, and we do have a lot of academic and researchers in our school, and they are working on that. For example, the project related to responsible AI, and also they are doing a lot of research in addressing the ethical issues. Yeah, but that's a really good question. Yeah, we are aware of that.
And someone has also said there, for Dr. Lou, can AI stand alone as a platform? Question to Dr. Lou. Keith might want to answer as well, because he's nodding furiously.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question because, AI is an algorithm, but in terms of the definition of AI, it's quite complex because AI includes a lot of things. For example, the machine learning, we all know, and computer vision and robotics. So AI is a really, really big concept, and you can have a system and you can have a AI model, but it can incorporate a lot of things. If you are building a robotic, that's an AI platform, but you will need the techniques for mechanical part and to build the robot itself. And you also need to get the sensing technologies, and because you have multiple sensors on the robotic. And also you're going to train your data sets, and you also need to understand about all the kinematics and in terms of building a robot.
Thank you. Keith, do you want to tackle that one as well?
Yeah, I mean, we talked when we met about just some of the legislation in this space, and the EU asked for 3 lines of defense when it comes to AI products, and I think that's sort of similar to other things that get regulated that we experience in other parts of our businesses today. So I do see a space, particularly maybe long term in transportation. So if you took the global workforce and you said, what are the jobs that most people in the world do? Many of them are around transportation. And those are also not particularly green jobs. So I think there's a great deal of impact we can have with semi-autonomous ships, cars, shipping, receiving, import, export, and that those ultimately will be monitored. But even the monitoring over time, I think, could be done through an AI to make sure that they're behaving the way they should.
And I know obviously you're talking about transportation, how there's such a massive, I guess, human footprint in that at the minute. But there are lots of questions here about the fears about job losses. If you're saying, oh, well, maybe AI could do that, we have quite a few saying, let's see, questions are coming in that quickly, keep the spirit. How do we manage the fears seen, particularly in the press, about job losses as a result of AI? Keith, do you want to go for that?
Yeah, I do have fears, and I tend to think of myself as sort of a glass half full sort of guy. But, I worry less about some of the fear mongering about a teenager designing a cold virus that makes us all sicker than we are today. I worry more about a bank creating a financial product which is so complex that no human can understand it. And when I think about the mortgage-backed crisis, that was a financial product that very few people, even in finance, could understand. It worked well for a pretty long time until the day it didn't. And so I do worry about, I'm sure banks will go after this technology. They will use it to create, quite complex financial modeling that very few, if any, humans can understand. So there are things that I think need to be monitored, and legislation I think will help with that. But in general, I see lots of upside. My dishwasher today determines when it should go on based on our solar cells, and it does it at the best time for the environment. And I didn't have that a few years ago. So I think for all of us in our day-to-day lives, there's lots of upside.
And we've had questions specifically about the technology sector as well. Obviously, we have a room full of people working in tech, and we've had quite a few questions saying, AI is very exciting, the potential is very exciting, but how do we as an industry prepare for the change and skills that are needed in the workforce? And is it going to hit the tech sector as hard as other places like transportation?
Yeah, I think there will be a lot of changes in terms of applying the AI in different industries and different areas. Actually, it is already happening. But I think, as just mentioned by Case, I think it's quite important. So we do take extra care in terms of the decision making. We need to have the responsible AI and also the explainable AI. So people need to understand what is happening by using the algorithm. So we are creating the algorithm, but not the black box algorithm. We need more explainable algorithms.
Thank you, Lou. And we have a question here. Is Needy currently hiring for any software position?
Very shortly, yes. That is absolutely the case, yes. And it will be remote working to begin with, just saying.
Can
I just really quickly add just onto the last one? Actually, I was just thinking about that. I had a really great conversation actually with a guy called Ross who heads up ASOS in Northern Ireland, who I'm sure some of you might know. And I had a really great chat with him about how he recruits his tech team and talking about AI and versus humans and that whole fear. And I was actually really inspired talking to him because he said that he recruits all of his tech team pretty much on personality. So he's saying that you can learn skills, you can get to grips with AI, you can do all of that, and you absolutely can. He said, but what you can't necessarily teach is how to communicate with each other in a really effective way, how to motivate each other, how to have a really great team environment. And it really kind of blew my mind because I was going to him going, oh, Ross, can you help me with my tech recruitment? I need to know a bit more about what I should be asking for. And I was, asking him for advice in that way. But I was so reassured to hear that he's got one of the most successful teams. I think he recruited like 200 people in like a few months or something. And he has done that predominantly on personality as well as skill set. So I kind of wanted to tag that onto the last bit about the fear that we've got. Like, let's not forget how important it is to actually have your own personality, your own communication, and make sure that your working environment is a positive one, because that's going to get really good results as well.
Yeah, and Louise, there's a question here for you, just to stick with you for a minute. Interested to hear from Louise about how they're using AI to find the best fit for something very human, with the emotions associated with gift giving and receiving. So how does that actually work?
So what we've done is when we first set Needy up, we collaborated with Dr. Daniel, as we like to call him, who's a professor of psychology, and he's helped us to understand really what the core psychological principles are behind buying the perfect gift for somebody. And it takes everything from your relationship with that person to how you want them to feel to numerous other factors. And that's how we're managing to work that into the AI to really find those perfect gifts. And then adding on to that sort of locality as well. So it's something a little bit extra special if you're able to maybe support a local business near that person as well, or buy a gift from somewhere in particular, like a postcode of somewhere that they have been to that's special to them. So yeah, it really is, I suppose it's the psychology element that we're using within the AI to make it special.
Amazing. I'm imagining a lot of people signing up for it after this. So we've tons and tons of questions. Someone has said, just noticed that Slido has a question AI function to improve our questions. Everyone must, that's why the questions are so good. Everyone's just pressing that. Let's see. This is a great question. Do you feel AI affects creativity, especially in the fields of music, arts and creative writing? Well, as a performer myself, there's actually quite a push at the minute if you are a performer to get on board with AI. So anyone heard of the website Fiverr? I'm sure you all have. Some of you probably worked for it. It's freelancers and stuff. Actually, obviously, we'll know it as a videographer. You go on and freelancers might make videos for you, make songs for you and stuff. But loads of them have started using AI, and you just give them a few words, what you might want particular songs or whatever to sound like, and they use AI to create it, which is quite scary because I thought for the longest time creativity is the one thing that could not be replaced by AI. So I know this probably isn't a question that's a specialist part for the panel, but do you think even things like creativity, writing, obviously it's affected by ChatGPT, that is all going to be AI heavy in the future?
I was going to say, just to begin with, for me, sometimes you just need to start from somewhere. That's how I feel. So if I've got like a big creative thing that I'd like to start or write, sometimes you just, looking at that blank page is really bloody difficult, isn't it? Whereas if you sometimes just start yourself off with a few ideas, it can give you almost the boost to creativity that you need to kind of do something. So I think it just depends how much you use it.
Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, so in terms of my background, I first studied graphic design and illustration. So I have less than positive connotations, I suppose, in terms of AI in that area. And for the website Fiverr, it's always felt like undercharging for work. So if you can use AI to render something for Fiverr, I'm kind of like, fine, yeah, go for it. They, pay for what you get. In terms of like starting off from like a blank page, I absolutely understand like that fear, and if that helps, that's grand. But I know for myself, in terms of like Midjourney and AI rendering of artwork, so much of that is like trained on like unethically, basically, from art that was not like given or like permission was not given for the training of that. I can get up on a soapbox here, but I'm going to keep it. But yeah, like I suppose for myself, I am wary of AI and wary of what that does to us in terms of seeing artwork online, because I know for myself, like if I see a beautiful image online now, part of me is like pausing and going, is this like human made, or like has it been just generated? And like having to stop and like do a check of like, oh, am I like impressed? Can I enjoy this artwork, or was it just generated? Actually does take away from the experience for me, because all of a sudden you're looking at someone's skill and going, is it real skill? And so for me, that's been a negative, I suppose.
Thank you, Sarah. I had a fantastic question there. Oh yes, someone has said, how do you feel about AI replacing the human touch? My dad used ChatGPT to write his speech for my sister's wedding. But that's not really, is that uncommon? Because my brother got married in September in Portugal, and my dad, my brother and the groom all used me to write their speeches. So I don't know if it's that different. But what about AI replacing that human touch? Keith?
I was going to come in on that question before. to me, it's so much better than looking at a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And I had to write a speech on, why young girls don't go into STEM and technology. And it gave me 5 points. And there were some in there that I didn't agree with. And I made that part of my speech then to say that, I think things have moved on, and, lack of role models was one of them. And I look out at this room and I think that's not true anymore. So I think, I think everybody should be experimenting with it, no matter what industry you're in, whether you're part of a team or leading a team. I would set some time aside to look at your processes, look at the things you do that are soul sapping, and can we have the AI do it instead? But I don't think for me it removed the human touch from it, but it gave me things that I could agree with or disagree with.
Yeah, I think I always think if we're using it to kind of amplify our own feelings, or I feel like that's what Louise is doing with the gift giving. We do those things anyway. It's just adding an extra layer to it, I guess. We have a question here. Someone said, I asked ChatGPT for a question. It's a really good question. What are the consequences of ignoring AI-driven innovation, and how can businesses adapt to stay competitive? That's quite good, isn't it? It's better than everyone else's questions.
I think businesses will fall behind. Like if you take a look at something simple like a tractor, and one of them is using AI to help you manage soil, to manage moisture and when to plant and all of those types of things, and one of them you just ride on and it's not smart, I can tell which company is going to be more successful over time. So I think that you've got to acknowledge it, and you've got to bring it into, that eventually those places where legislation is quite strict, businesses may move away from those places, very much like tax and those types of tax havens. We see businesses set up where it's friendly to business. I can see sort of a global economy that shifts to places where it's friendly for AI.
We've had a great comment for Keith. Can AI train my family to load the dishwasher more optimally?
There's no right way to load the dishwasher, right?
There's no AI will ever be that smart. So we've got a question. Obviously, there are always, whenever you talk about AI, a lot of questions about the human side of things, and we've talked about the human touch, creativity, all those things. But someone has said, do you think AI will ever have enough emotional intelligence to replace human interaction? Will we ever be able to say AI has emotional intelligence? Is that a specifically human trait because it requires some cognizance? Or what, Lou, what do you think?
Yes, I think it's a really interesting question, because I think we all watch the TV series Westworld. So there's a lot of the research is currently focusing on the robot morality. So because, when the artificial intelligence agent and they started to gain this kind of emotion, and they will question about their creators' behavior, and if they do something they don't feel happy or they feel it's not right. And so this is a really good question. It's always called robotic moral or robotic morality. This has already been addressed by a lot of researchers. So currently there's researchers doing on that, because there could be possible one day and the AI agent will have their own emotions. Yeah, but that they will be very close to the singularity. Yeah, but I think we are still having a distance from that.
I'd be terrified. Really? Have you seen Tim on Netflix? Yeah, where he's an AI and he's amazing, but then he gets all these emotions and then he falls in love with the wife and then kills the husband, buries him in the backyard. Very, very inspiring film. Louise, you were going to answer that too. I love that I said Lou and you went to answer. You thought I got very familiar. I was giving you a nickname.
I know I did. I'm sorry. It was just something that sprung to mind. I suppose a fear I have on that respect. I think there is a growing, I suppose some people call it a pandemic, which sounds a bit scary, but of loneliness as well out there. Like, there's been so many changes over the last few years, especially since COVID, and then we have got remote working and people are at home. And I suppose one thing, when you ask that question, that it does worry me, because I think that having that human connection with people is so equally important. And I think that sometimes, if everything is being replaced with AI, then where are you getting that interaction? If you're also getting that emotional intelligence from the AI too, like where is it? So I think I agree exactly what you said about the tractors. Yes, that one's going to be more efficient. But I think also, there are going to be some businesses and companies that you go to them because they have really great people you can interact with. I don't know if you have, if you've been into a Lush shop with all the smelly bath bombs and things in there. Never go in hungover because it is really, really overwhelming. But you should go in if you're sad or if you're lonely, because everybody that works at Lush are like the friendliest people that you've ever met. And you could just go in, you have to buy a bath bomb because they're just so friendly. But I think it's, let's not forget how important that is in the, connections with real life humans is equally important in this discussion, I believe.
I love the cultural difference here because if I was sad, Lush would be the last place. Happy people? No. It smells great, but everyone is so friendly. I'm like, what's wrong with you? It's like, that's so not a Northern Ireland thing, is it? It's like you're too happy. But that's why you're in the gift-giving positivity sector, and I'm not. So, so many brilliant questions. We've got time for a couple more. Because our first talk obviously was about sustainability, we've touched on a little bit in terms of the gift giving. But a question for Lou and for Sarah: how can AI contribute to sustainability goals, and what are the kind of challenges and the opportunities in that area? Sarah, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, sure. I suppose, like, again, performance and efficiency, like AI can, we already had a talk about it this morning with sustainability, like SustainIQ. Like, it is looking at our systems and seeing where improvements can be made, where performance and like there's waste. In terms of like the tractor in farming, like if you have a smart tractor, like it's going to use less resources. It's not going to just like spray like wastewater, and kind of like pesticide. It's going to be careful about that. Like there's move to use like computer vision in terms of like looking at crops or even looking at animals and kind of giving like individual care to like your crops or your herd. So in terms of sustainability, it feels very much like on a business to business kind of basis, like each entity kind of doing its part. And in terms of like sustainability from like a social point of view, I feel like there's a lot of accessibility that can come out of AI. Like we're already seeing like subtitles on TV shows that wouldn't otherwise like have those subtitles. So all of a sudden, like accessibility is going like way up. There's like work on like an AI that can translate sign language like through video, which is like fantastic. Like a friend of mine who's an audiologist was kind of talking about how difficult it can be to find those resources, because like you might get some amount of sign language online, but it varies from country to country. So like it's actually quite difficult for anyone to like step into that space and learn. So yeah, and like from a social point of view, I think social and environmental point of view, AI can like really give us a boost.
Thank you, Lou. I'm sure you talk about sustainability as part of your teaching. So just that, but also another question, Lou. Does Lou encourage your students to use AI for their essays?
Yeah. Maybe I talk the sustainability first. Yeah. And so in terms of the sustainability, I think AI has already contributed quite a lot, especially in terms of the energy efficiency and also the environment monitoring and protection. So for the energy efficiency, there's a lot of currently AI contributions in terms of the green building and to reduce the energy, to improve the energy efficiency and reduce the waste. And in terms of the climate change monitoring, and the AI is really good because there's lots of projects and also a lot of applications related to using computer vision and also remote sensing technologies and trying to understand about the extreme weather and also the climate change impacts. And also currently the precision agriculture, I think Kate mentioned a bit, and that's a really amazing area. And the our universities, Queen's University, just secured 10 million funding from the UKRI with another 3 universities in UK, which is about building a center for doctoral training on the sustainability, agriculture and food. So there will be 15 PhD opportunities, and so the academic and also the PhD student will work with the industrial partners and to explore the transformative AI technologies in the area of agriculture and foods. So if you're interested to do a PhD, so you probably already see some advice online for that. So in terms of the student use AI, this is really challenging because previously we use the 1018. So basically, this is a plagiarism checking software, and it can help to match the students' essay and with the current online resources. But the ChatGPT, the generative AI, has created challenges for us. So currently, we have some AI guidelines, and for the students, so we allow them to, for example, for my module particularly, I allow them to do the brainstorming, and I allow them to use the proofreading, and also can, because my module involves about the coding, so I allow them to do the debug of the coding. But I do not allow them to generate sentences and to generate any of the codes by using generative AI. So those are the guideline sets. And in terms of the plagiarism, it's also up to the academic supervisors and to determine that.
Isn't that mad though? Imagine you were a student now. I'd have about 7 PhDs. I'd just be like, ChatGPT, organic chemistry, everything. It is incredible. Someone has said, got a ChatGPT funny question. What's the best excuse you've heard from a company for ignoring AI innovation? Bonus points if it involves blaming it on the office pet. See, this is what I don't like. ChatGPT has jokes, right? So I'm like, is it going to start to replace those of us who are comedians, those of us who are performers? I want to finish on this last question that we've been asked quite a lot about. Obviously this is Women Tech Conference, is AI encouraging or discouraging women from getting into those roles? Do you see a skew towards guys in those roles? How's it affecting the balance of women? Anybody? I let the man's go answer his questions. Yes, Keith, go for it.
It's been said already. Our sector suffers poor diversity, and what it means is that product development also suffers. When it comes to something like cybersecurity, I'm not attacked by one type of person. Therefore, it's silly for me to hire one type of person. So, I see nothing but upside. I really think that, here we seem at the A levels to lose so much bright, diverse talent to mathematics rather than IT. So I think the system and how the A levels are designed could help get more diversity into IT. But there's a real need, and they're high-paying, intellectually stimulating jobs that go unfilled or filled with not a diverse candidate.
Thank you so much, Keith. And just to finish, just want to go through the panel and just, obviously it's an AI panel, but some of the panels seem a little bit more cautious about the adoption of AI than others. So I just want you to give us literally 10 seconds on whether you think it's positive or negative for this industry.
I think it's positive, but walking carefully, walking gingerly, because I suppose bias is the huge thing in my head. How are we training these AI? What are the data sets like? Who's looked over them? Has another AI looked over them? Can we depend that wasn't biased? That's a big worry in my head. Data-driven discrimination is a big potential. So I can see so much good can come of it, environmentally, socially, medically, but yeah, with caution, I suppose, which is a very broad answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Louise, what about you?
I think just very simply, I think it can be positive when paired with human and humanity, basically.
Thank you, Keith.
Same positive. I see lots of opportunities for new patents for small businesses, for entrepreneurs to develop something new and creative.
Perfect. Lou, you have the final word.
Yes, I think it's quite positive in terms of for the research and also for the higher education. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's all we have time for the panel. Please give them a big round of applause, folks. Thank you.